It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Serving up trending news and conservative views. Brought to you by the Elsa Kurt Collection. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
It's time to party. What's up, my friend?
How are you? It's busy week. So Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's what time this is. And it matters because things change by the minute. We're going through more confirmations. President Trump is running the press corps ragged. He's making decisions on all over the place. So the time matters. How are you?
I am good. Yeah, just head spinning. We're trying to keep up with all of the changes, like the rapid fire, everything. So yeah, we've got like tons to talk about. And so exciting. We have a guest tonight, guys. We have somebody coming on to join us a little later on in the show. His name's Chad Stewart. He is an author of a book that I actually have every intention of reading because it just sounds amazing. It's technically a children's book, but yeah, he's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting some insights from him. It's going to be pretty great.
We told you guys we were bringing guests on. This is the first one of the new year, and we'll hit all the topics and then bring Chad on right after this. Hey folks, Clay Novak here, author of the novel Keep Moving, Keep Shooting. So what I've got here is the Boo Boo 2.0 basic first aid kit. This is the one that you throw in your glove box, throw in the trunk of your car, keep in the house. It's got Band-Aids, antiseptic wipes, those kinds of things for scrapes and cuts, and some, more significant, there is a tourniquet in here. But Boo Boo 2.0, this is the kit that you need all the time. Again, refugemedical.com. You can find it there. Use the discount code KMKS at checkout. Get yourself 10% off. Refuge Medical. Not only buy their equipment, but get their training. Refuge Medical offers training.
Check out the latest by request launch in the Elsa Kurt official merch store. It's the statement where you'll love to share. Visit otherelsacreator-spring.com and use code UNBURDENED to save 20% off your order.
What's up? So, yeah, like we said, we got a bunch of topics for you right off the bat. Let's talk about these tariffs. This is sending everybody into a bit of a tizzy, huh?
Yeah. So, really what they have been is exactly what President Trump knew they were going to be, which is a bargaining chip.
Yes.
He's whipped them out 4 times. The first one was with Colombia.
Yep.
We talked about this last week between the fourth and the 8th hole on President Trump's Sunday round of golf. It was fixed. He did the same thing with Mexico within hours. Their president, she was talking a lot of trash.
She was talking tough there. Right? She was trying to girl boss and kind of realize the impact.
Yeah, back down, sent 10,000 troops to the border on their side. Justin Trudeau, everybody's least favorite Canadian, tried to do the same thing. The only time in his life he ever tried to alpha male ever and failed miserably.
So sad.
Agreed to all kinds of things. And it's all conditional on a month pause on the tariffs.
Right.
Yeah, and it's working. The only one that it hasn't worked on is China thus far, but that's a little bit of a different ball game based on who they are and their economic power. It still works, but it's working. Everybody.
Yes, it's working just like we said it would, and you said it wouldn't. I wonder, who's right? Oh, we are. Listen, I'm not petty. I just sound like I am. That's all. But everybody was freaking out over probably like the past, 24 hours or so, that they weren't going to get their Temu or Shine or Sheen. I never know how to say that. Deliveries from China, but that is also reversed right now, right?
Yeah.
At the moment, that's been reversed.
USPS is back online. Yeah. Delivering that stuff. But, it's President Trump, when it comes to economics and doing business deals, listen, folks, he's the master.
Yes.
And everybody's like, oh, he bankrupt this and he blah, 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 blah. He knows what he's doing. Okay. Yes. And this has worked. It's proven multiple times already that it's worked. So, just let him do his thing. Your cost of maple syrup's not going to go up. It's okay. Right. Oh, by the way, before you open your mouth, do a little research on what the percentage of the tariffs are going out versus coming in. Right. By the way, Canada charges a ton of money.
Yes.
That we pay for, that they pay us almost nothing in return. But, as it stands right now, Mexico is very much the same way. So do your research before you get all worked up. The reality is like, the percentage of imports from Canada and Mexico are very, very small. Most households don't even buy things from those two nations, with the exception of a lot of automakers, having plants in Canada. Okay, fine. But other than that, very little impact on people's lives, contrary to popular belief.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to affect them way more than it does us. I saw a funny short little video of some Canadian, I think it was like a package store owner, and he was taking off the shelves all of the American products that he already bought, that he already paid for. Like, who are you hurting here? Not us. So I think you said it perfectly, Clay. Everybody needs to calm down, let it play out. The guy knows what he's doing. I mean, we're, 16 days?
16
days in office. And there's, what I think we were saying before, we even said at the beginning, so much happening in such short order. Things that, he's promised that he was going to do, he said he was going to do, and he's doing them. And we talked about, and we may even mentioned it last week, that we thought, I remember specifically me thinking that it's not going to all get done in one term. It's like, there's no way, it's just too much, right? Like, it's impossible. There's just too many channels, right? Like, we all thought that, as optimistic and hopeful and high expectations that we have. They were very tempered expectations based on what we've seen more or less our whole lives, right? So this is uncharted territory. This is something we have never, ever seen the likes of. And the transparency is what is so gratifying and awe-inspiring. Like, it's so open, everything that they're doing. It's incredible. And I think everybody's like shell-shocked. Even the people who were expecting it or wanting it, are like, is this really happening? This is crazy. I never knew.
Yeah.
Have a government did this.
I wrote a blog today about the chaos that's being chaos is ensuing every time one of these decisions, but it's progress.
Yeah.
Because it is, he's flipping over every rock. He's turning everything over. He's looking underneath. We're finding all kinds of stuff. People are worked up. I love how they're using that. Well, Elon wasn't elected. Yeah. Well, neither was Dr. Jill. Neither is George Soros.
Yeah. I was going to say, neither was this guy here, right?
Yeah. Alex kid,
Soros,
right?
Yeah.
Neither, oh, by the way, Kamala didn't win any primaries. They put her in. So stop with that. Okay. Yeah. The USAID discussion, which is the big one right now, right. Because he went in there and shut it down. Oh, by the way, found some ridiculous spending.
Ridiculous.
Both, on the shady side of what's, truthfully nation developing money. Like we didn't need a transgender child's play in El Salvador or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. We didn't need that. There was funding going into, a health corporation that ended up funding the Wuhan lab. Yep. They're finding all kinds of things right now.
Right.
And there are people protesting that because it's being done by somebody that, wasn't elected or appointed. But what they fail to realize is that Marco Rubio, who was unanimously, you went through the numbers last week, unanimously confirmed as the Secretary of State, USAID works for him.
That's right.
He took over as the director of USAID. Right. In the interim until they get somebody else in there. He's the one who let Elon in the front door. He is the one who said, everybody go home. He's the one who allowed, Elon's been given access to these things. And I know a lot of people are complaining, he's accessing classified this and classified that. Yeah. Well, if you've been given an interim clearance, which he has, I guarantee he has. And the people that work for him have been given an interim clearance and have been given access at the stroke of a pen from the president. They have access.
Yeah.
Period. You can not like it. You can not like it. And that's okay. But what you can't say is this is illegal. This is this. Listen, I can promise you that this all stands up in a court of law.
There's no question about it. There is no I that hasn't been dotted, no T that hasn't been crossed here, no, legality that has not been looked into before they've done anything, because they know this is not the first rodeo for Trump and the people that he's brought in. They're not playing. They're not playing. And it is glorious to watch. And, and also, obviously, it's always ironic and just, a head scratcher to watch people foaming at the mouth and getting angry that Elon Musk and Doge are saving us money, are eliminating wasteful spending that we do not benefit from. Our tax dollars are going to funding a play in Serbia and, all of the things that you mentioned. So to be angry about that just says you just want to be angry. You just want to be mad. That's all.
TDS. That's what it is. It's derangement syndrome for sure. People are finding reasons to be upset about this. And fine. 60% of America decided this is what we wanted to do for the next at least 2 years, if not 4 years. And this is what we're going to do. So buckle up. Because it's not stopping.
Yep. Nope. It is going to keep on rolling, and it's just going to get better and better. And I love it. I love it so much. Here's something I don't love. The plane crashes. Oh, those, did you watch those videos?
So I have, and I will, this is another topic that I wrote about recently, is that there's a lot of people out there, especially when it comes to the DC crash. That Black Hawk helicopter and the airliner. There's a lot of armchair quarterbacking going on out there. And I will tell you, solely as an informed passenger, and I've spent a lot of hours in the back of a Black Hawk or Chinook or a bunch of military helicopters, but a lot of Black Hawk time as a passenger with night vision goggles on, with the headset on, listening to the air crew, talk and converse and all of it. And let me tell you something, unless you have flown a helicopter at night in a major metropolitan urban area with all the ambient light that comes with that, under night vision, near one of the busiest airports in the world, please keep your opinions to yourself. If you haven't been an air traffic controller at a major metropolitan airport, again, please shut up. Ask all the questions you want, but you have no authority, you have no expertise, you have no room to pass judgment on anyone. And please, until we know what happened, keep the DEI crap out of the conversation, please. That's we're passing judgment on stuff. We don't know what happened yet. There is an ongoing full investigation, and they will get to the bottom of this. But
I think with this current administration, we're going to find out everything that they know. I haven't the faintest idea how, I think everybody is trying to wrap their brains around how that could have even happened. And, to your point, we couldn't possibly understand because that's not our world. So, obviously all of the speculation has been going on, and, and of course the conspiracy theories start pretty much instantaneously, looking at the passenger logs and who's on there and everything. And I always cringe. I cringe when that starts up so immediately, because it's like, hey, hang on, take a breath here, because there were children on this plane. There were families. These are human beings. And now there's all of these families, and including the Black Hawk family members who are trying to process this incredible loss right now. And people are throwing all of this doubt, especially on the pilots for the Black Hawk, I think, because they wouldn't disclose the female's name initially. And, so that right away, why won't they disclose it? Well, she just got a medal. She was just here. Must, conspiracy. And I'm not saying any of that stuff is impossible. Anything is possible. We just don't know right now. And I think of the families. I just think of those families like, it is breathtaking when you think about the loss and the suddenness of it. So remember our humanity for a minute, guys. Come on.
Yeah. And it's, it's heartbreaking because that, those families, that was a training exercise, a training flight for that Black Hawk crew. Obviously anytime you fly at night in an aircraft, there's danger involved with that, but that's not, they don't expect that out of, a training exercise, training flight. Yeah. And, I've had to deliver bad news like that to families before. It's the most awful thing that you have to do. So the lack of respect is heartbreaking. It says a lot about our humanity or lack of humanity right now. Yeah. That, and again, to have that bleed over into the Philadelphia crash,
Yeah.
That was an air ambulance, which is Aero Ambulance. I think that's the name of it, but it's an international corporation. They do
Right.
ambulatory flights. There was a pilot, a co-pilot, a physician, a physician's assistant, the mother, and a child patient
Yeah.
on that aircraft. It was
Yes.
Mexico. It was a Mexican based aircraft out of Tijuana, which is where they were flying back to. They were leaving Philadelphia, flying to Kansas City for a refuel, and then on to Tijuana to take that little girl home. And something tragic happened. Unfortunately, also someone in a car on the ground.
Yes. One person in a
killed.
vehicle.
And
injuring 22 people.
Yeah,
a
lot of injuries. That's a very crowded neighborhood in Philadelphia. It's on the North Philly. It was a shopping mall area, very urban, location. But it's, because it fell on the heels of the DC crash, everybody started, lumping them together, and it's, they brought the DEI crap into that too, and it's awful. Again, please, remember your humanity in all of this. There are people that die, the tragic loss in both of those instances. It's terrible.
And neither one of us are saying not to investigate it.
Ask the question.
I mean, that's literally the point.
Yeah.
Let the investigation happen. We are living in a transparent government right now, or I'll be reasonable and say what appears to be
more
transparent, right? Let's give it a chance. Give it a chance to play out. Give them a chance to do the investigation and all of those things. But I agree with you. There's plenty to say about DEI hiring and all of that stuff, and it's just not the moment for it, right? I mean, not to me at least. I mean, everybody can do whatever the hell they want, but personally speaking, I would say, give it a pause and see, and just, for the moment, consider those families that are dealing with the most horrific, kind of loss. And it's so out of the box, plane crashes, and it's so out of the box of what is like normal in lives, So this is just very tragic. Seeing all those, I was looking at, just researching the topic, looking at the pictures of all of these young people and families, families that lost either their mother or their father.
Skating, was it a skating team? It was a bunch of guys who were hunting together. There's a whole bunch of groups and people together on that, relatively small airplane. Right.
What was it? 64 people on board that one? Is that right?
I think passengers and crew, and then the 3 on the Black Hawk.
Right.
So, listen, the veteran community is guilty of this. We're our own worst critics, but we also speculate on things that, even we don't know about. Again, I've ridden in the back of them. I've spent a lot of hours in them. I am telling you that is not a job that I would have enjoyed, I don't think. But it's a tough job. And unless you've done it, and even if you have done it, and I would tell you the pilots that I know have been the ones who've been the most calm in this entire thing, because they know. But, unless you're one of those people who've done that, literally been there, done that, please do not speak with authority on any of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you see it, again, one of the dark sides of social media, and everybody is an instant expert.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I saw a meme, so that means I know.
I flew a flight simulator once, and I know.
Yeah.
Please,
I played Call of Duty. Come on. Which, by the way, I've never in my entire life played that. I hear it's highly addictive to play, but that's why I'll stay away from it. But so obviously, we'll keep watching. Everybody is watching, and just wanting to understand. I think there's a natural inclination, of course, to want answers, to understand how something horrific like that can happen. And certainly, to state the obvious, obviously hope that there was nothing nefarious, nothing, untowards going on. It most likely, tell me if you think the same or not, most likely it was simply a tragic accident, or 2 very tragic accidents,
Occam's razor. It's the most likely, it is the most likely, explanation for the incident. It was just a horrible accident. That is most likely what happened. So that's kind of where my head goes, but we'll wait for the investigation and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the meantime, we got military aircraft flying all over the world right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Where are they going, Clay? What are they doing? What's happening?
Right. So we got them. We talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about the actual deportation last week, although that's ramped up.
Right.
That with the inclusion now of sending folks to Gitmo,
Yes.
which is an interesting twist, and the president of El Salvador volunteering to say, "Hey, we'll take all of your violent criminals, to include Americans if you want, and we'll take them off your hands," which, will never happen. But,
No, right. Of course.
the Gitmo thing is raising some eyebrows to include from the leadership in Cuba.
Yes.
But what it's generating, obviously, is nationwide. You've got protests everywhere. And the idiocracy of this is my favorite, which is especially, I've seen it the most in Los Angeles, Southern California.
Yeah,
So
we've got video. We can talk over
it's
this.
There it is, right?
There it is.
So what are we doing? We're in America.
Yep.
We're burning an American flag, the nation that has, allowed you to stay here.
Right.
We are waving loyalty to Mexico with Mexican flags, and yet refusing to return to Mexico where we came from.
Yeah. Yeah. How about that for logic? How great is that? Like I just did a video the other day because, again, same exact thing, head exploding, mind going with the insanity of it. So everything that you just said, my dilemma, my mental dilemma here was like, I can't decide what is worse, that you have these illegals waving the flags of the country they don't want to go back to and burning the flag of the country they want to stay in. There's that. Or is the idiots on the left who are crying for them on social media, Selena, and everybody who's, all of these politicians who are, wanting to harbor them and keep them safe. Like, I can't decide what's worse. I think they're probably pretty much equally awful. And if I could have it my way, I would deport them along with like, listen, you're so sympathetic. That's so sweet of you. Your heart is so big. Why don't you go with them?
Well, and then you've got the New Jersey. It's not the governor. Is it the governor?
I think it might be the governor.
Governor who's housing an illegal in his home.
Yeah. Holman's like, okay.
That was his response. We'll deal with that too.
Yep.
Right. So
no problem.
And then you've got, Pam Bondi got confirmed today, right before we started recording.
Bravo.
All right. Another confirmation, into the Trump team.
Right.
And she's already stated day one
to
all of the state's attorneys that they will cooperate. They will cooperate with prosecution. They will cooperate with the administration. They will cooperate with ICE and the federal law enforcement agencies, or they will be disciplined and or find themselves a new job.
Yeah.
Not an option.
That's it. Not an option.
Yep.
I love it. And this is everything that we collectively, us, asked for. Like, just state how it is. Don't apologize. Don't dance around it. Don't make excuses. This is how it is. You want to cry? Go cry. Keep crying. Cry more for all we care. We're following the letter of the law. We're doing everything that we said that we were going to do. Again, my word of the day, full transparency. We said we were going to do this. We're doing it. Don't know why you think otherwise. Well, we know why, because we've heard empty promises, from all leaders.
Well,
forever.
And it goes back to what we talked about, top of the show, and that's the rapid nature of all of this is what's putting people off. Truthfully, you said it. You didn't think so. I didn't think so. I mean, I was standing. I got a text from a friend of mine. I was right after the inauguration speech. I was in Las Vegas for the SHOT Show, and a friend texted me and said, "What did you think?" And I was like, "Too aggressive." 4 years, he'll get a lot done, but I think he's overstepping. He's overcommitting. And then literally just yesterday or maybe the day before, same guy texted me back and said, okay, so give me a letter grade. How's he doing so far? And I was like, absolutely blown away. Totally, underestimated what he's doing. He is, he may get done everything in the first year or two.
Yeah.
And then, I actually heard a great theory last night. I think it was on Gutfeld. And I'm not an often Gutfeld watcher. The humor's not as good, I think, as some people believe it to be. But, I think it was Tyrus, his guy on there was saying that, President Trump's running like this at 1,000,000 miles an hour so that he can get everything done in the first 2 years that he wants to.
Yep.
And then he's literally just going to hand it off to JD Vance and he's going to go play golf.
Here are the keys to the castle, my friend. Yeah. Right.
Just set him up for success for, the follow-on administration, which, is an interesting plan. It's actually probably not too far from true.
Yeah.
But the speed of this and the lack of reaction time is, I think, what's really got people upset.
Right.
Is they, before they can get mad about something, he's moved on to something else.
Yeah, they don't know what to get outraged about first. I'm so angry that you're doing this. Wait, you're doing that? No, I'm angry about that. Yeah.
I mean, yesterday, hey, we're gonna own Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Yeah. What?
So
what?
now listen, again, all transparency.
Yeah.
I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know how earnest that statement was.
Yeah.
But I will say, on the face of it, the guy who promised to keep us out of wars or not commit us to more wars,
right?
That was not a good statement.
Right. I think he did. Yeah, I didn't save it, but I think he did kind of expand on that a little bit more on what he envisions doing, and it was much more reasonable, than that initial statement sounded like. If I find it, I'll throw it in here. But I think he did.
Beware the soundbite, though. That's the hard part, is that everybody clips it. He should know better, because that's all they've been doing to him for the last 8 years.
Yeah, and he's gotten. I think. Tell me if you agree or not. I think he's gotten exceptionally better about.
He has. It. Yeah, he has.
I mean, he still says stuff that you're like, oh, okay.
Well, but his reaction yesterday, the most genuine reaction I've seen probably since he took office, was when they told him that President Biden had signed with CAA, the massive talent agency in Hollywood. And he stopped and turned his head. And he goes, "Are you kidding me?" Like, it was just the most down to earth, moment from President Trump I've seen in a while. It was
so great.
And it was it was this shock, absolute, could not believe what he had just heard.
Oh, I love it. I'll have to look for that one. Yeah. There's no question about it. Let's state the obvious. He is shaking it all up. They're all, and I just saw it resurface. I think it was kind of quiet for a little bit, but they just, somebody just brought it up again that he's moving forward on abolishing the Department of Education, which I think is wild in a very good way. And that actually, so we'll talk about that some more, but that actually ties in really with our guest, believe it or not. Again, guys, his name, I'm going to bring him on in just a second. His name is Chad Stewart, and he has written the first in a series. It's called Britfield and the Lost Crown. This sounds so good. So when they talked about, when I was reading about the book, what, how they always tell you what to compare it to or what it reminds you of. I saw the magic name for me, which was C.S. Lewis, who, my heart, I love C.S. Lewis beyond words. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, well, we have to have him on. But yeah, it sounds like an amazing book. I want him to tell us a little bit about it, and we're going to bring him on right now. And here is Chad Stewart. Hi, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
You are welcome. So we're thrilled to have you on here. I can't wait to hear about your book. And I don't know if you heard it, but we were talking about abolishing the Department of Education. And I know you have a very big education lean here. So I know you have some great insights on that. So Clay, you have some questions for.
Yeah, Chad. So, 3 authors sitting here, actually. Elsa's an author. I'm an author. We all are very different genres. So, I write adult action fiction. Elsa writes Hallmark movie novels. But obviously yours is it's labeled as kids' books. But every author has his or her own process and motivation. When I wrote Keep Moving, Keep Shooting, it was my transition, retirement from the Army into the civilian world, and it was a way to keep my brain engaged. So what was your impetus or your motivation to write?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, it's not necessarily a kids book series. It's very similar to the Harry Potter series, but the complete opposite of Harry Potter, if that makes sense. Meaning, where Harry Potter was designed to introduce black magic, witchcraft to the hearts and minds of children, Britfield is the complete opposite of that. It's anchored in current time. We don't use any heightened fantasy, demigods, superheroes, none of it. They're very, very authentic books. And the main characters that start in book 1 at 12 By the end of the series, book 7 will be 18. And real quick, our youngest reader is 7, our oldest reader is 93, and 55% of our global audience are adults. So it really is a fast-paced, high-octane. What the quote you were mentioning was, it was great. It was, I think it was from the Epic Times, and it said it's a combination of C.S. Lewis and Dan Brown. I thought that's pretty cool.
I love that.
And we've been compared to like a lot of others, and which is cool. And there was a wonderful comment we got from older woman in Canada, and she goes, I love the Britfield series. She goes, it reminds me a lot of James Bond, but with a bigger cast and a greater purpose. And I thought, wow, she nailed it. But yeah, it's funny. I'm originally from Newport Beach, California. You might be familiar with the area. And I was back east, Wellesley, Massachusetts, for 16 years, where I did my undergraduate in British literature and European history. And it was about 12 years ago when I had the idea for Britfield and Lost Crown. I was actually into investment banking, had worked for 3 Fortune 100 companies. And it really obviously was just not a good fit for me. I don't think it's a good fit for most people. And I was dying to do something creative, get back into the game and really up the creativity. And we're all born creative, whether people feel it or not, but we sort of get diverted away from really our talents and our creativity. And so I sat down and spent 4 years, 2,500 hours writing Britfield and Lost Crown book 1. And when I started it, I really just did start it to do something fun. I didn't see it as this massive series. I didn't see it as a 12-year undertaking. This is the next 25 years of my life, if you will. And it'll be 7 books. It'll be 7 major motion pictures. Here's a finished, you'll appreciate this, a finished movie script, 7th draft. And that took about over 18 months, about $350,000, $400,000, which is kind of typical for that range. I mean, high level expertise in writing it. We're in pre-production of the first movie. Hopefully we'll be filming in spring of next year in England for the first of 7 major motion pictures. So it's this fast-paced adventure series. Book 1 is in England. Book 2 then moves to France, and the main characters of Tom and Sarah are 13 years old now, and then that's 474 pages. Book 3 is Italy. The main characters are 14 years old. That's 575 pages. And we just launched, as you can see behind me, Britfield and the Eastern Empire. Starts in Vienna, ends in Moscow, Russia. We include 11 countries. It's 437 pages, and the main characters are 15 years old now. But we have this whole diverse cast of Detective Gowerstone, who's in his 40s, Inspector Fontaine, who used to work for Interpol, who we were introduced into book 2 until she finds out how corrupt Interpol is, and now is helping out this whole sort of Britfield series and stuff. We have Oliver, who Tom and Sarah, the main characters, meet in Oxford University in book 1, who's a sophomore. He kind of gets, and again, too, it's fun. You guys can appreciate this when you're writing series. You don't really know you're introducing certain characters because you want them to, because you need them to be there, or they're sort of moving the story along. But you really like them, and so I bring back Oliver, and he's in all the series now. And so you have that sort of 20-something, and then Kate, this computer tech, who's kind of a podcaster, blogger, and she's getting the word out on the truth. And so it's very, very succinct to today's exactly what's happening right now. And I remember when book 2 came out, a lot of people were saying, "What are you prophetic?" And that was 5 years ago. And so I do bring in a lot of the things that you're talking about, and I pull the curtain. We talk about quantum computers, D-Wave computers, social credit scoring, the dangers of AI, manipulation of the stock market, and just so on, and nonprofit organizations that funnel and launder billions of dollars. All this stuff are in the series, lightly threaded throughout the background. And I'll stop there.
I love that. So my book nerd brain, it wants to ask you so many, book author nerd questions. Sure. I'm not going to do that because I really want to stay focused on it, but just know that I'm dying to ask all of those questions that we authors love talking about. One thing that I especially love about this, I call it, I'm making up another word. I like to do that too. Educatement. It's like you're right. It's like you're educating and entertaining at the same time, and I think that is so powerful. And another thing that I especially love, I'm a Christian, so I love that this does not have the magic element in it. That it's very real and just these very authentic, relatable, it sounds like, characters that are driving these stories. So I think that's just another fabulous thing. I'm so excited to see where all of this goes for you. It's amazing.
Real quick, we call it stealth education because as children are reading it, or as adults are reading it, they're learning about geography, art, architecture, culture, and history. It's based on family, friendship, loyalty, courage, and hope. And we incorporate the 4 C's in every book: creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. Tell me another series that does that. So, but it's funny with the words. I'm writing, and then I'll write a word, and then I'll look it up, and I'm like, that's not a word, really? Like,
it feels like a word, right?
It's got to be a word. Yeah, like I like that word now. That's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got a lot of things going on with this book. You mentioned a whole bunch of it, So we're going to be able to actually see, is this going to be, are they going to be movies? Are they going to,
live action movies? Yeah, it's just it's interesting. I mean, it's hard to compare it because there's so very little like it. Even in the history of cinema, I've been involved in that industry for a long time, and just as a researcher behind and on the theater, behind the scenes, all of it. And it's so it's kind of like you got a little bit of that Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's current time. It's a little bit like National Treasure, but it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot like Star Wars, but it's not the sci-fi thing. And I keep saying that really Britfield and Lost Crown series is the relaunch of Star Wars, but without any of the sci-fi stuff, because it has that essence that Star Wars has. If you were gripped as I was as a child, like in 1977, I saw the first movie 13 times. And it's like, I don't like sci-fi, nothing against it. I just don't like it, but it's such a great story and it's so much fun and it's so exciting. And it's got all these different elements, originality, great cast of characters. It's an adventure. It's got humor. It's a David and Goliath story. It's triumph over tragedy. Ragtag, rebellion against the mighty empire. It's got all those elements. And that's what Britfield has in it, the essence, but we don't, if you will, compromise it with those other elements, such as witchcraft or post-apocalyptic or demigods or all that stuff. And to me, that's sort of, it's easier. It's easy writing. So, my book, like I don't get to wave a wand to solve a problem. Or if they're trapped in a corner, it's like, what's that magical spell? Or hold on, let's put on that magical cloak and we can walk through this wall. It's like, no, I got to figure out how to get them out of here. So
these are the kind of books I'd want to see in schools. Although I guess for me, that wouldn't matter so much. My grandchildren, I've got grown children. My grandchildren are going to be homeschooled. That's the plan that they've decided on, which I am ecstatic about after witnessing over the past, at least minimum 4 years of what the education system has turned into. What are you seeing that has affected your writing in these books and how you're marketing them?
Yeah, it's interesting. We're already in thousands of schools. There's 120,000 elementary middle schools in the United States. Our goal is to be in at least 80 to 90% of them in the next 8 to 10 years. And so we're already in thousands of schools. Actually, when we kicked book one, Britfield and Lost Crown, when we kicked it off in August 2019, I drove 9,000 miles. I visited 23 states, presented over 200 schools in front of 40 to 50,000 students. So I was boots on the ground, sleeves rolled up, presenting to sometimes an auditorium of 300 to 400 4th through 8th graders, and it's like the 4th graders are just like in the front and they're great, right? The 5th graders, they always have the best questions. In fact, some of the zingers I've got were from 4th graders. I'm like, wow, where'd that come from?
That's awesome.
But it's really cool. And it was across the board too, private, Christian, Catholic, homeschool, you name it, I was there presenting to it. And just to come back full circle to what you're saying about education, I've been saying that for about 2 years. We're at the beginning of the end of the traditional educational system. We've seen an explosion in the homeschool movement. I like to call it the homeschool revolution. And that's happening. We've gone from 5 million to what I would estimate almost 12 to 15 million in the last 4 to 5 years. And it's extraordinary. It's powerful. And what you'll see with the traditional school system, the public system, is it'll kick around and fight right now because it's got billions of dollars it gets to launder. And they've killed creativity and they've really killed the human spirit of learning. But they're like I said, they're at the beginning of the end of that. But your question was, what have I seen? And I would say that I'm a big proponent. I myself was not homeschooled, but I'm a big proponent of it. And the best educated kids I have seen are homeschooled. Then when I meet someone or parents and they're like, oh, my kids are homeschooled, I get excited because I'm like, oh, we're gonna have some good conversations. Right. You know what I mean? Or they read my book and it's just like, they're giving me these really articulate, questions or specifics. They're grounded. They listen well. They're well read. They're usually 1 to 2 grades ahead of all the other students, which is not really a hard sell. It's just the whole educational system is so debunked. You know what I mean? It's based on a 19th century industrial model that's never been changed, and it was designed to fail. And I think those that are behind it and responsible for it, I told you, I said this, I've been saying this for years. There's a reckoning coming, and you're starting to see it right now. None of this stuff surprises me. This is the tip of the iceberg of what's coming. So, you have the cackling hyenas, paid actors, you know what I mean? Politicians, paid actors. I mean, it's just like, it's nothing. They're done. They're finished. I've said this for, I think, 12 months. 2 years. Democratic Party is finished. It's over. Yeah. I mean, it literally is over. What you're seeing right now is a carnival. It's a show. It's a joke. So.
Yeah, Clay and I were just talking about how they have not learned a thing, right, Clay?
Learned a thing. But so Chad, I've got a couple of relatives. Both my sisters are in education. One is a elementary level administrator, and then I have a sister who's a reading specialist. I was a full-time substitute teacher for about 18 months at a charter school outside of Philadelphia. There's a lot of education. Elsa and I are both parents. Mine are a little younger than hers, but my youngest is in college now. So I've been through all the recent maturations of and a lot of personal touches in current education. There's a lot of things that you said that I agree with. However, that the current educational model to go to something different is going to take a cultural shift. Sure. In the sense of, it's nice that homeschooling produces a great product. And I understand that there's I have a friend who's a principal of in Pennsylvania of a homeschool system that allows and provides curriculum for parents to homeschool their kids and those kinds of things. But, for a collapse of the current, educational model, I don't think is realistic. However, with President Trump,
I did real quick. I said it's the beginning of the end, and I said it'll kick around for years, but it's the beginning of the end. It'll take time. It's very well entrenched. But this is the thing too, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I remember hearing a comment from like a retired general or something. They're talking about the military, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like what's happened and the destruction and all the seeds that have been planted. And he's like, that stuff can be turned around in 2 to 3 weeks. It comes straight from the top. It's a new thing. And I think that's very true. And the education system is a little bit different, but I mean, things can change real quick. You're looking at a population too in the United States that I would estimate at anywhere from 85% plus that are number one, that voted for Trump. So the statistics that you saw on that, and hopefully all those elections, California has been red. I'm in San Diego, California. It's been red for decades, and it went red in this last election. Even Vermont went red, and I believe that all 50 states did. But there's always this back and forth and divided people. And like 40% of the population are Democrats. No, they're not. No, they're not at all. So what I'm saying is, especially since 2020, we're in the most awakened time in history. Some are all the way there. Some are just waking up. But you have millions and millions of people that are standing up, that are questioning things. And so we are prepared and prepped for a massive shift. And again, it's going to take time. But that shift is already happening. Do you realize, I think it's like, I remember this too. So in 2020, I was on my national tour. And I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was finally in the heart of America. I went all the way up through Oregon and Washington. Yeah, that was fun. And then, across the nation and down through Oklahoma. I was in Texas for like a month. And I was finally in Tennessee, in the heart of America. And it was March 2020. Just did 4 schools back to back. And I had to turn around and drive back. And I said to myself and to my friends, I said, it'll be very interesting when this whole quote unquote pandemic is over. How many parents will be sending their kids back to traditional school? And I was saying, what is it like, 5%, 10%? I was seeing estimates of anywhere from 20 to 30% that were coming out 12 to 18 months later. Do you know what a radical shift just that is? You know what happens when you lose, 10% of the kids at a school, or 15%? So I'm saying all of this to say in the last 4 years, this massive shift is already taking place. We have over 1,000 charter schools, just in California. And in fact, some of the largest ones are interested in the Britfield series and teaching it in the classrooms. But I'm just saying, lots of things are happening. So yeah, I mean, like next year, we'll or 2 years from now, but it's already happening. And parents are not pulling, but yanking their kids out of these institutions and finding ways. And homeschooling too it's a hybrid model. It's like you can drop your kids off at a homeschool school. Or a cross collaboration of a charter school. It's not like the lone parent that has to stay home teaching their one kid, reading and mathematics. That's not it at all. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. So, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, my point was with the moves that President Trump is making with school choice, right, as being a huge part of it, and then this discussion about, dissolving the Department of Education. Where do you see the impact of that in its immediacy? Like in the days immediately following the dissolving the Department of Education, what's the immediate impact?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And it's kind of an intense question. I kind of see what's going to happen is that it'll be the way that it should be, in the sense that it's no longer a government mandate, but it's a state by state mandate. And it'll come from there, and it'll start to divide and shift. And some of the public systems will still sort of tug along with their, if you will, corruption and agendas, but they won't stick anymore, and the money won't be there to fund it anymore. And now with Trump in office, I just think you're going to see it's already happening, this sort of aggressiveness for all of us too, as a nation. I mean, it's really been by God's grace that most of these people are still walking the streets, because it was, in my opinion, it was God's grace that was holding people like myself and millions of others back from these hyenas and these parasites that have been hindering our children, to say the very least, if that makes sense. And so It's not going to go very well for them over the next 6 to 12 months to 18 months. The stuff that they've been doing, teaching, pushing, their days are numbered. I'm saying this, their days are numbered.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
they're not going to be hiding behind any group or organization. You'll be physically yanked out of there. Trust me. And that's coming. That is coming. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so thrilled to witness this shift, and it's such a relief again with the grandkids and watching them grow up and seeing them, now coming into a more reasonable world here where the balance has been restored, right? Where common sense has come back, and
there's boys and there's girls.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
Boys,
so
girls.
let's stop this nonsense, this satanic nonsense. Dear goodness, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad, it has been such a joy to have you on, and I'm so excited to read these books. And even if, and I just want you to know, even if you said they're really only geared towards, I'd still read them. So whatever.
Oh yeah, no.
and I think that's important for everyone to hear that's watching and listening, not just for kids. And we all know, adults are obsessed with the Harry Potter books. You know what I mean? Sure. So it's, it doesn't even matter. So I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for all of the things that you have coming up for the series as well. Could you do us all a favor? Tell everyone where they can find you, where they can find your books. Sure. If you're going to be doing any more appearances anywhere, give them the whole deal. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's funny too, because the Narnia series was actually written for adults that became one of the best selling. I mean, that's what Lewis wanted to do. He was so fascinated with that sort of fiction, and he goes, I want to write it for adults. And I remember too, I was in England, and I think it was 2001, 2002, and when the Harry Potter series was really taking heat, and it was crazy. I was like dating this woman there, and it's like all of her friends were reading it, like late 20, early 30s. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is this thing? But yeah, you can check out our website, Britfield.com, Britfield. It's an award-winning website. It's very dynamic. It's great. It really complements, especially book one. It's got over 400 pictures of England, interactive maps. We've got an 83-page study guide based on academic standards. The books are meant and designed to be taught in the classroom or homeschool groups. And if you do order through the Britfield website, I'm still signing books, and that's not going to happen much longer because I'm just getting very, very busy and transitioning and shifting. I mean, we actually launched the series in Britain, of all things, in June of last year through a major distributor, which is exciting. I'll be there for the London Book Fair doing a 3-week tour throughout England. We've got an 18-month global tour that we're kicking off in March to not only promote the series, all 4 books, but the movie. And so I'll be in Britain, I'll be in Europe, Eastern Europe, Asia, South America. So it's going to be an exciting 2 years ahead of us. So.
Yeah, it is. That is absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. That is just huge. It's so cool to see all of the things that are happening with that. And again, we thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. And we'd love to have you back again and tell us when the next big step is going on. We'll keep everybody updated and informed. And of course, we'll put the links in the show notes for everybody. So Chad, thank you so much. Who are you? What's your name? Clay, if you how soon I forget what the heck is going on.
Yeah, I've been replaced already.
All of a sudden you just go, you're off.
Thanks for coming, Chad. We appreciate it. And again, it's always great to talk to another author and get a perspective on things. And congratulations on all your success now and continued success in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on the show.
All right, Godspeed. Thank you for the honor. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness, poor Clay. You get someone new on here and I forget your name, and my husband always says I'm mean. I guess that just proved it to everybody. My goodness.
We talked about it, we touched on it with Chad, and that is kind of the last thing that we're going to hit in this show is the DNC just does not learn.
They don't learn. It's so absurd to me. And I'm thrilled. And we talked about this before we went on air. I am thrilled that they don't learn, because that means after the 4 years, we're going to get another 4 years. So, I say keep acting up, keep doing, stupid things like this guy, this clown. funny gesture he's making there. I feel like somebody else just got criticized for doing that, but it's different, right? It's different.
Yeah. So the entire thing, so they had their elections this past week, the DNC, and so that the new president, I totally lost his name. So he is, he went after President Trump to get him impeached.
Yep.
right? He's one of those. And then so you just showed David Hogue, who is what, 24. I'm pretty sure he never graduated from high school because
I don't think so.
Super active after his school shooting incident.
Right.
That truthfully has been revealed he had no part of, wasn't near him, didn't see anything. He just was
right. I think somebody said, even, I don't know if it's true or not, so don't, bank on it, but I could swear something I've heard that he wasn't even in school that day. Like he
entirely
wasn't even,
possible. Entirely. But he's manufactured. He has been. Some of it is self. Like he was the kid that got grabbed fairly early, and he's been promoted and propped up because he's a loudmouth and he's not afraid to talk in front of people. Right. But he really is, an idiot. But he's
basically boy AOC.
He's emblematic. Oh, by the way, she stuck her foot in her mouth this week too.
Big time.
But he is emblematic. He is the the personification of the DNC leadership. And again, they're as they went through elections this week, when they were electing people, they had so many rules that revolved around demographics. It literally. The guy standing up there and reading the election rules. It was a 10-minute, and I'm not kidding when I say this. It was a 10-minute. Read all of the rules. A lady got up and went to the bathroom and came back, and he was still going through the instructions based on who could and could not be elected. If we're electing 3 spots, it can't be 3, white straight men. It can't be this, it can't be that. And if there is, then we're going to have to vote again. And, and we're going to read the first one. And if there's this set of demographics, then it only allows for these demographics and the next 2 and all this crazy stuff. They have not learned meritocracy is where we're at right now.
Yes.
We just want people who are capable and competent. And when you do that, you get the best mix.
Yeah.
When you don't rely on demographics to make your decisions for you, you get great demographics.
Right. And by the way, the fastest, easiest proof of that is Donald J. Trump's cabinet. You have an Indian American, son of immigrants, right? Kash Patel. You have Marco Rubio, son of immigrant parents. You have, I think, 2 off the top of my head, 2 openly gay Treasury. I think it's the Treasury and who's the guy, Grinnell, that just brought back the envoy of or just brought back like 6 Americans from I forget where.
Yes.
But,
yep. And you've got Tulsi Gabbard, who's Pacific Islander. It's all of that. His cabinet is what it is. It
is diverse, and not because he looked for diversity, he looked for the best, and the best just happened to be these other things. All of that was completely irrelevant. It was, what are your qualifications? What are your abilities? What are your skills? Period.
DHS is a woman. Justice Department's a woman.
Yeah.
It's all there. So,
right. Yeah. You got Kristi Noem. You've got Pam Bondi. You've got, what's her name? Susie Wiles.
Right.
First female chief of staff. So they can take all of their nonsense and shove it.
Yep. So, and then you have the reverse, right? So you have AOC this week. You brought her up, and I said she stuck her foot in her mouth, and whether people saw it or not, she declared that Elon Musk was one of the most unintelligent billionaires that she's ever met. Now, I don't know how many billionaires she's ever met. I do know a couple of things. One, the guy is a genius.
Genius.
Brilliant. I also know, and he has said this outwardly, this isn't Clay making a statement. Right. This is coming from Elon Musk. He is on the spectrum.
Yeah. I caught that as well in her statement, that it was kind of like, whoa.
So she basically violated every EO rule and law and norm that they've been mandating over the last 4 years plus, that you have to be sensitive and you can't talk down to people and you got to take all this stuff into consideration. And she basically called a guy who's autistic dumb.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And she is truthfully so stupid that she doesn't even realize she did it.
No.
And she doesn't even realize the hypocrisy she stepped in.
Right.
Oh, by the way, did you know she has an economics degree?
Yeah, I think I did read that somewhere.
That is whoever gave her that, like she should turn the sheepskin back in.
Yeah.
They should refund her money. They should, I think she went to Northeastern. I would be so embarrassed if I was that university that she has an economics degree, because she's so unbelievably uninformed about everything relating to economics. It's unbelievable.
And she still talks like a teenager.
Bartender. She talks
like a bartender. Yeah, you're right.
22-year-old bartender.
Yeah. She still talks in that 22-year-old vernacular where every other word is like, and even in that statement, it was like, he's like, and he's like, so dumb. Like, replay this for yourself later, kid, because it's not good. It's embarrassing.
Terrible.
Yeah. But again, I will say it one more time. Keep it up, guys. Keep it up.
Just make it easier.
You keep doing the same things.
Just
please
make it easier.
Right? Yeah.
It's going to help.
Goodness.
It's going to help in 2 years.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
It's going to help in 2 years. Yeah. So, and listen, first interview on the show.
Yeah.
So we told you all it was coming, and we've got more coming, which is awesome. And it's busy and it's not slowing down, right? Yeah. 16 days in, we'll be 3 weeks or so, a little over 3 weeks by the time we record again.
Yeah.
And listen, we thought, we were a little worried, I think, you and I, that after the election, that things were going to slow down. And, boy, we
not even remotely
couldn't be more right.
Yeah, it's not like, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about? It's how many things can we fit in? How many things can we cram in here to talk about? Because there's so much. And then, of course, as y'all well know, there are things that we haven't even talked about because there's so much. We're waiting. I think we're going to find out this week, maybe even by the time this airs tomorrow, about RFK Jr., right? Or no?
It should. So he came out of committee.
Yes.
So he came out.
And Tulsi also.
Tulsi came out of committee. Yeah. Kash Patel has not yet made it out of committee.
Right.
But yeah, I would assume by maybe the time this airs on Thursday night, or by the end of the week, I would assume know where they sit. And I'm going to guess at least one of those three, and it may end up being all three, that Vice President Vance is going to have to get involved again.
Yeah, you better hurry up. But what happened last time? He had to hurry up and throw a suit on and basically literally run down there and get there. Just keep the suit on and be ready. Just be ready. Get your butt down there and do what you got to do to make it happen.
He knows how to do that. Stay in uniform.
Yeah, exactly. He's awesome. He's awesome. That's another thing. I wish we had more time. I would love to talk about him for a few minutes. But yeah, oh my goodness. They're all doing a great job.
Yeah.
No missteps, and I'm loving it.
Nope, it's been great so far. Hey, folks, we appreciate it. Hopefully, you like a little bit of new format with our interview, and as always, tune in. We appreciate all of you. You make this. You're the reason why we do this. And from me, as always, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.
Combat veteran Terry Davis left a life of violence for the quiet Midwest prairie, but a terror threat pulls him back into action. In Tampa, he makes allies and enemies as the danger unfolds. Relying on his combat honed skills, Terry faces a threat far bigger than he imagined, unsure of who to trust. One thing is certain: to survive, he must keep moving, keep shooting.
Valentine's Day gifts that wow. Valentine's Day is near, and let's face it, flowers and chocolates are so last year. Your special someone deserves a gift as unique as they are. That's where the Elsa Kurt collection steps in. From Elsa's captivating books to stylish apparel and eye-catching accessories, there's something for everyone. Want even more options? Elsa's curated Amazon lists are packed with thoughtful picks that'll leave your loved ones smiling. Ditch the ordinary and celebrate love the extraordinary way. Visit the Elsa Kurt collection now and find the perfect gift that says you're one of a kind. Ready to shop? Your Valentine's Day hero moment is just a click away.